To make a Hexie Flower Quilt label, you will need 7 3-inch pre-cut hexie templates and 7 3.5-inch assorted fabric squares, a basting thread, sewing thread and a needle, thread snips, fabric scissors, a pencil and a good quality fabric marker, dressmaking pins and a piece of Vliesofix or light HeatnBond iron-on adhesive, along with a matching embroidery thread or floss. To begin, grab a fabric square and evenly place a pre-cut hexie template on the wrong side of the fabric. With the hexie centered, carefully pin the template into place, then roughly cut a 1/4 inch seam allowance along each side of the hexie. Load a needle with your basting thread and knot the end. Then starting on the edge next to the head of the pin, fold the fabric over and pull the needle through from back to front. Fold the next edge over at the corner, keeping the fabric tight to the template edge. Holding the folded corner with your thumb, insert the needle through all layers and out to the back of the hexie, gently pulling tight. Hold this edge down with your thumb again and bring the needle and thread up to the top once more. Fold the next corner over like before and plunge the needle through once again, pulling the thread tightly. Then bring the needle and thread back to the top along the next edge. Continue these steps along each corner and edge of the hexie, taking the pin out near the end. At the last corner, tightly fold it over in the same way and stick the needle through all layers. Bring the needle and thread back up to the top and cut a small tail of thread in place of a knot to finish the basting. Then repeat the same set of steps with the rest of the templates and fabric squares, resulting in 7 perfectly basted hexies. Next, lay the hexies into a flower design with a plain solid one placed in the middle. To begin piecing them together, grab the center hexie along with one from the outside and evenly pair them together, right sides facing. Load a needle with sewing thread and make a knot at the end. Bring the needle up into the corner edge of the top hexie, pulling the thread through. Make a small stitch at the corner of the opposite hexie and then another on the top hexie edge. Pull the thread through and then continue sewing small stitches along the top edges of the first 2 hexies. Your needle should just catch the fold of the fabric along the edge of the pre-cut template inside. Take the whip stitching right up to the 2 corners and then open the stitched hexies out. Grab the next hexie in your layout and line it up next to the 2 stitched together. Flip this hexie over and evenly line up each of the edges. Then starting where you stopped earlier, begin whip stitching on the new hexie from corner to corner in the same way as before. When you get to the end of this edge, make a stitch and leave a small loop. Pull the thread through this loop, making a knot. Then make a small stitch at the back of the hexie, hiding the knotted thread to the side. Snip the thread and fold the hexie open. To stitch together the next edge, fold the hexie to the right in half so that the 2 unstitched edges line up. Then, with a knotted piece of thread, begin stitching the edge together in the same way as the others, making sure to just catch the fold of the 2 fabrics along the template edge. When you come to the end of this edge, stitch on the next hexie and then tying the thread off just like last time. Continue on with these steps until all of the hexies and their edges have been sewn together to make a beautiful hexie flower. Next, give the completed hexie flower a good press with a medium to hot steamy iron. Spray on a layer of starch to the back of the flower to help keep its shape. Then carefully unpick all of the basting stitches from around each hexie edge. Gently remove each of the paper templates and discard them. Give both the back and front of the Hexie flower a good final press once more with the iron. With a pencil, roughly trace the outside shape of the Hexie flower onto the paper side of the HeatnBond, then carefully cut it out. With the iron on a dry medium heat, gently press the HeatnBond onto the wrong side of the Hexie flower for about 30 seconds. Trim away any excess paper from the edges and then gently peel away the backing paper, leaving behind a shiny adhesive layer. Place the Hexie flower front side up onto the back of your finished quilt. Then with the iron still on the previous settings, patiently press the label into place until it adheres. With 3 strands of thread or floss on your needle, bury the knot in under the batting, bringing the needle up against the edge of the Hexie flower. Begin sewing a blanket or buttonhole stitch around the outside edge of the label, being careful not to have any stitches showing on the other side of the quilt. When you reach the end of your thread, make a small tack under the last stitch and make a loop. Pull the thread through and make a small knot. Plunge the needle directly back into this spot and bring it out about ½ inch away. Snip the thread as close to the surface as possible, thus burying the knot and thread in the inside batting. Start the next thread by bringing the needle up through where you knotted the last one. Then continue on appliquing the label to the quilt. Once you finish hand sewing the label onto the quilt, make sure to write on your label the finished date and year, the name of the quilt if it has one, along with who made it. And that is how you make a Hexie Flower Quilt Label.